Hey everybody, and welcome back to Shark Nation. You got me here, your host Chad, along with your co-host Jason. How is it going, my friend?
Today is one of those days as a team lead where it's like drinking water out of a fire hose, man. I don't know if it's something in the Super Bowl water in this area. We got a lot of Eagle fans around here. I don't know what's going on, but it's like I don't something's crazy today. My phone has not stopped all day,
I
which is a
feel
good thing.
that. I feel that, and I'm in Tampa, so I'm not an Eagles team. Well, granted, there's a lot of people from Philly, a lot of people from the Northeast in
My uncle,
Tampa.
he's down there.
So yeah, no, it's a repeat of what, 2 years ago, huh? Philly and KC.
Yeah, yeah, should be interesting. I was not to lie, I was hoping there was new teams. I wanted to see like Washington and Buffalo, but just nothing personal against the other teams. Well, nah, if you Eagle fans, I hate you, but uh,
You're going to be hated in your hometown.
I am. They know I'm a Viking fan. They give it to me. Believe me, after they won, everybody, my phone was blowing up with talking crap text messages, so it was all good.
That's great. I understand that. When I lived in Pittsburgh, I was a Red Wings fan, and that didn't go well in 08, 09 when they played back to back in the finals. So
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. So, but let's dive in. So, I think what I kind of want to talk about today is, we've got, the experts' predictions across the board of 2025. And, really, any way you look at it, I think the simplest way you can put it is it's most likely going to be better than 2024 in terms of, it's predicted to be more home sales. Interest rates are predicted to be lower than 2024. And, inventory is expected to be up from 2024. So, more movement, which would be good for a real estate agent. So what I see that as, especially if you've hung through and made it through, one of the toughest years in real estate in a while, is what how are you going to seize the opportunity? How are you going to take advantage of that opportunity in front of you? And we're 30 days in ish. We're about a month into the year, so you've gotten a chance to make the New Year's resolutions and fail at them, and find what you're going to commit to, not fail.
Quitters Day is
Yeah.
coming on.
So now I think a lot of people are just looking at moving forward. What do you focus on? What do you not focus on? What should you do? What should you not do? So, Jason, 30 days in, what do you want to keep doing?
I want to keep constantly learning. I want to learn everything I can about the market. I want to learn everything I can about how interest rates work and how to be prepared for them so I could educate my clients on that. Because, like I said, I think big things are coming. I would say, taking a step back, the first thing I would do if I'm a brand new agent, which this show kind of caters to, right, would be using this time between January and the spring market to educate yourself on everything real estate related. You should own your contract training. You should own your systems and processes. If you don't have any systems and processes, this is the best time of the year to implement them. Get all your trainings out of the way, so then that way you could hit the spring market guns blazing. I'd say that would be a number one. A number two would be, start having conversations with the clients that you currently have about what could be coming up in the future, right? Maybe expect some interest rates drop, and now that we have a change in president, everybody's kind of thinking, hey, love them or hate them, everybody thinks it's probably going to be favorable for interest rates and banking and finance in general. Start getting ready and prepping yourself. I would say, if I'm a new home buyer right now, now's the best time to buy. Why? Because if there is a sudden turn on interest rates and they go from, say, 6.5 to 4.5, now we have all that competition coming in, competing for the same houses. And what's that going to do? It's going to drive up home prices.
I don't think we'll see. I don't know. I shouldn't say that, but I don't think, you think it'd be that low.
Well, I'm just saying, right? Educate the market on it, right?
Sure.
Because if
Sure.
you are still on the fence and waiting for rates to drop, guess what? Everybody else is too. So do you want to be
Yes.
competing with every single person, or do you want to get the house that you want right now before you're competing and driving that home price up?
It's definitely something to make, yeah, your buyers and sellers aware of, because well, I'll tell you, I mean, I'd say if it, I know from my conversations with people, if it goes under six at all, that I mean, and I don't think that I think it'll be low sixes, but that's just what the hell do I know, But I think that if it does go under sub six at all, that's enough to make a big splash because so many people just want it right under that six mark out of their mental, state. So 100%, it's more advantageous and to get going on it. But um, so
Well,
learning.
I'd say 2 things on that. One, we should definitely talk to our guy Mike to get him on the podcast to, kinda discuss these things. 2, let's talk about this because we're at different price points, right? A change from 6 to 5 in your neck of the woods, that's a lot of money. Your average price point is 450, where ours is around 225, right? So that's a big number change for your monthly payment. Um, so having that conversation in your market even more important than it would be, you know,
Do
up
you
here
find
in
people are
England.
looking at it from a monthly payment perspective or from a number of the interest rate perspective?
I like to break it down monthly payment. What are you comfortable, Chad, with your monthly payment? What are you currently paying now for rent, or what are you currently
I like
paying?
it too, but what I'm saying, like, do you think that the clients or the people you've experienced, do they actually look at that and look at it at 6.5 versus 5.5? Or is it like, because, well, yeah, I'll ask you that.
No, so I would say, yeah. So my with my training, I'm bringing up the apps now. So I say the correct app that I give them. I always mess this up. Oh, Mortgage News Daily.
Mm.
Right? Shout out to my guy Sean. He came into one of our trainings and showed it, but it has the current 30-year fixed average, the current 15-year fixed average for interest rates currently in the market, right? But one of the nice things that it does is have a mortgage calculator. So I always tell my clients start with the end in the mind. Where do you want to be comfort wise on your monthly payment, and then let's work our way backwards on the house. So I'll have them punch in the numbers for their mortgage calculator as part of our buyer consultation meetings and then go over it from that aspect. So Chad wants to be at 1200 in this market at a 6% rate. His house price might be 200. At 5%, he might be able to go up to 250. At 4%, he might be able to go up to 300. That's a lot more house for a lot, just based on that interest rate. But the key to that is I don't want to be showing them houses at 300 and then they could afford to, you know what I mean? Everything that they see in that two range isn't going to be apples to apples with that three. And I'm using kind of ballpark numbers just for this, but you get the gist of what I'm talking about.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've found that most people don't actually compare the difference in payment. And it's not as huge as they think when they do. And a lot of it's more of a principle of I want it lower because I want a deal, or I won't want to pay more than I should, and ego in a way. And a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people, when they actually get exposed to the rate, well, here in my opinion, it just adds clarity. Like, not the rate, sorry, the monthly payment. Like, it's like, just get and that's, if you have somebody, if you're an agent listening and you have somebody that's in a space like this, like, who are you to try to sell, like, well, oh, it's going to do this, then, or this, like, get them with a lender and just go through the discovery process. Is it a good time for them? Is it not? In the last 2 months, I've had somebody get with a lender and say, you know what, this isn't going to work, even if it lowers a percent. It's not going to work from our current situation. And I've had somebody say, wow, that's not as bad as I thought. So
Yeah.
give people the tools to make a clear decision. That's, like, you're there to add clarity. Clarity is kindness. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you're there to do.
I think that's so key, just the wording that you use and training up team members for that. Hey, let's get with my lender to get pre-qualified for a loan, right? Sometimes that might be a little bit like, I'm not ready for that. Why don't you jump on a discovery call with my lender? They can let you know where you're at, let you know if there's anything that you need to do to be qualified. They could say, hey, here's kind of where the range that you should be looking at, and they could help you run the numbers so then that way you're more comfortable. They're like a financial advisor for you, not financial
Sure.
advisor, but a partner in the process. Use them. It shouldn't just be get pre-qualified and never speak to them again until closing.
Well, and I tell them too, like, when if I'm considering 6 months or a year out, I talk to them like I do. Like, if I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy a house in 6 months, I'm gonna go call up my buddy, my lender. They're like, hey, um, what's it look like right now? What do I need to do? Like I just need the clarity, So 100%. But coming back though, let's talk about things you're gonna do. You said learning and systems and processes now before it gets too crazy. Um, one of the things, so I'm gonna say keep doing because that's what I asked you to keep doing. So keep learning, keep making the systems and processes better. My biggest thing right now for me is simplicity. I've had a few things like we talk about. It's actually directly going to go into what you should not do and what you should do. You know, I've had some things that start to get complex, and I could go into those branches because, and maybe even they're helpful, whether it's a team training or a process for a buyer or seller or whatever. And these extra layers are helpful, but um, for me, I am really, really focused on addition by subtraction right now. How simple can we make this process to keep rinse and repeating? Because, um,
Be
as
specific.
John,
What are you doing? Exactly. What do you have that's kinda,
well, let's take automated
kinda growing
follow-ups.
some weeds and you need to trim it?
Let's take automated follow-ups, and creating a whole system and process around that, and just all the stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? We have the best one in the world. Indicate if someone is hot, warm, and cold. Follow up with them weekly, biweekly, or monthly based on that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I'm doing the same thing. We had like A plus, B plus, C plus, D plus, and it's kind of overwhelming. I'm either gonna simplify it down to hot, warm, cold, or ABC. Either
Yeah,
or.
yeah.
Too many
Uh,
stages is just yeah.
Well, and then I get sucked into the systems and processes side of it. And yeah, I've always said, January, February is a good time to work on it before the spring booms up because so your systems can increase but all systems and processes really, really do is increase the capacity of what you can handle when the bulge is there. Um, but like and it's important to do, but in spots we're doing it. But the biggest thing is I'm making sure it's not at the expense of 9 to 12. 9 to 12, making sure we're having conversations with human beings about buying or selling real estate, or in my case, about real estate agents that want to grow. Um, those are my conversations I'm having from 9 to 12, and if it's in that time frame, then no, I should not be working on that. And then in the afternoons, if it's getting in the way of meetings with buyers or sellers or agents that want to grow, then no, I'm not going to work on it. So, I think for me, it's like just making sure that that stuff is, well, you know what? I think I
I think
watched a
it's like
video.
it's the Jocko thing, Jocko Willock. It's discipline equals freedom. When you know exactly what you're looking for, you can say no to everything else that doesn't meet that criteria. And that's a perfect example of it. You're setting up your day for success. I just did this last week in our boot camp onboarding, and we're going to go through it more for week 2, starting at 2 o'clock today. But prospecting in the morning, 9 to 10, prospecting, talking to people that you don't know. 10 to 11, following up with people that you've previously spoken to. 11 to 12, learning something new and kind of updating and managing your database so that everything's up to date. And then in the afternoon, setting up your appointments, your buyer consultations, your listing appointments, and your showings, writing offers should all be afternoon related activities. But
Yeah,
that's exactly what you just said you're doing. That's great.
well, 100%. And but I think the other thing, I mean, I watched this. I think it was like last night. I forget where I watched that. It was some one of the, I don't know, it was like a reel or something like that, or somebody sent it to me. I can't remember, but it was ABCDE. What the things you're gonna do. It went too deep. It went like, and then subcategorize it. Take the simple. It was like, put the things you want to do, lay them out. What's most important? A. What's kind of important? What do you have to do? A. What do you want to do? B. And what would you like to do? C. And then delegate and eliminate for D and E. So A, B, C. Most important kind of, want to do it, like to do it. ABC, and then delegate for D, delegate off to your team, delegate off to your admin, delegate off to a vendor partner or whatever you got. And then E is eliminate. What do you got to eliminate? So that ABCDE, mentality, I think is really it's kind of what I'm doing without doing it on paper like that. And outside of those things we talked about. But then it reminds me, as we're talking about this, boy, I know what I want to keep doing. And it comes on our last week's theme, but it's accountability.
Yeah.
We the exercise we went through last week where we all said 3 things we want to do this week, and have a daily check-in partner, and we come back every Monday and we touch base on that. Everybody has loved it. And I was shy yesterday on Sunday on 2 of my commitments. I was a little shy, and I honestly 100% thought I was gonna come to the meeting Monday and just be like, "Yeah, it's really, really close," but I didn't. But, oh boy, that accountability thing made me on the 11th hour push through and
Especially,
hit the
yeah,
gym and
especially as the team leader now, if you're letting shit go, then forget about it. You know, everybody else is going to think that it's okay to let it go. So you have to definitely hit your commitments every week.
yeah, well, but at
I
the same time,
mean,
I think it's good to no, I don't think it's good to hit it every week, actually. Not that you should intentionally fail on one, but I think it's good to share the vulnerability and the, "You know what? I'm not perfect either." Because I think what's important, and I encourage so I started coaching, my daughter's softball team, and I think one of the things I mentioned, in the first get together was, like, practice or just in general, like, it's good to learn through the mistakes, like, especially in practice, like, that's what I was encouraging. We're out in practice. I'm like, try the things, make the mistake, so you can learn from the lesson, hopefully now, so you're not doing it as much in the game as the theme I went with through them. But I think, that's the importance with if I do fail on one of these weeks, is showing them like, yeah, this is what failure looks like, but this is how I respond to the failure. This is what I'm going to do from here, and this is how I'm going to handle it, and because if you're just some machine that never fails, I don't know if that's going to go over. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe not
again,
as
I'm not
relatable
going to
to the team.
intentionally fail,
Yeah.
but I'm not. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. I kind of, had that similar conversation in boot camp, right? So, we did our sales training, right? What to say, how to say it, you know, have a good intro, expect and be able to handle three good objections, right? Ask good questions, set an appointments, or LP Mama stuff to find motivation, then, setting good appointments and then doing your buyer consultation. But in that same aspect, I said, I want you to practice on maybe some of the older leads that we have in our system. Why? Because it's going to take reps. You're going to stink at it at first. You got to get this down exactly what you want to say and how to say it. You're going to make mistakes. And then, it's a way to learn on those. So, first, contact in your sphere of influence, more of a warm outreach. Don't be a secret agent. Let them know what you're doing. Get comfortable being on the phone. Then cold outreach with, trying to drum up some maybe older business that might have been in the dreaming phase before, but now are in the buy and selling phase, right? Have those conversations, get those reps in. That's why I'm like, hey, look at 100 calls a day, 50 calls a day, 100 calls, 50, right? So you could get those reps in. So you could get, we're all going to be terrible at something until we practice at it. And then we're going to get a little bit better and a little bit better. And then journal what worked, what didn't work. So for next time how to get better.
we we had an agent who on the team wanted leads, joined the team for the leads, called the leads, realized, oh man, you gotta get good at this. It's not just leads. There's more than just
Yeah.
leads that matter. And um, so step one is, taking the action. Step two is making sure that you're constantly working on getting better at that action. But so was doing it, but wasn't plugging into the meetings and trainings as much as maybe could have, and started doing that. Came to two huddles, came to two of our reside sessions, and started to get the understanding, the discovery that he needed to role play. Um,
Mhm.
so then he did use ChatGPT, got with me, and I had another agent do this as well, where we role played, and all of a sudden the calls were way better. The confidence, you could hear the confidence, so but when you look back at the journey with there, it's like, what did the agent do? Like, had to discover, like, took action first of all, right? Like, let's break this down, especially if you say, we're geared towards new agents. Like, what should you do? Or agents that just want to, grow their business, and maybe they're used to just gaining business and they have to actually go hunt it, right? All right, so you're going to hunt the business. The first step is you got to be willing to take the action. That's where most people stay, and it's where most people. You can probably just shut off this podcast right now and you need to go just take the action. It's probably where most people. But once you do,
Having the
okay.
will to make the calls for sure.
Yes. Then you need to, look at it and observe it without judgment and just see where you're at. And then find the holes and get into the trainings, do the role play, practice it, work on your skills. Um, and then have the accountability to have a third party look at it, you know, have that openness, which they did, both these agents I'm thinking of, and, uh, freaking get better. You know,
Yeah.
that's what will happen if you do those steps, you know,
Yeah.
like, that's
Well,
exactly what
let me take
happened.
it back to your, softball analogy, right? So you're training what are they, 10 to 12-year-olds or something like that? 8 to
Yeah,
10?
yeah,
Yeah.
mhm,
So, and I coach softball too, right? So think of it as practice, right? They have their old crappy bat and oh, they just can't hit with that bat. But then, blah 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 has the new ghost bat, and this bat is the best bat ever, right? So we get up to the box and we get up to the box and then we're having that confidence and we're on there. We got that brand new bat. We're ready to hit, right? And what do? It's just like getting on the phones. They're more confident when they have that bat in their hand than with their old crappy bat. That bat can't hit. That bat, she has this bat and I crushed the ball with that bat.
yeah, yeah, the confidence is a huge deal, however, it's not the bat.
No, it's not, but I had this conversation last week with the boot camp, right? So their first calls were without any scripts or any kind of dialogue or any kind of training like that,
Ah,
right? So then, they're like, "Oh man, what do I say?" I go, "Figure it out," right? And this is warm contact attempts or whatever, right? Just figure it out. Just have a conversation, right? And then the next day they're all like, "Oh, this sucks." And like, would it be a lot easier if you knew what to say and how to say it and exactly have a process to follow? So then that way make your conversations a lot better. Yeah, and then they're asking for all that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's well, you know, that's so okay, that makes me feel the way you do that, and I've obsessed with this in a different lens, but uh, it's all about discovery. Like you have to have the discovery moment, and that's what accountability should be. It's not to say you're good or bad. Um, you know, it's just about discovery. It's just discovering that this didn't get, or this is the thing you said you wanted to do to get the thing you wanted, and you didn't do that thing. What got in the way? How can you not do that moving forward so that you get the do the thing you need to do so you get the thing you want to get? Um, and yeah, but even there, like you're training discovery, like because you can hand somebody the script, and then it's like, "Oh, cool, okay." They don't really think they need it, but when you expose them of like, "Look what you're like without it," right? Without, and it's
Mhm.
not just the script, it's a structure, it's a framework, it's a followable process, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, you have to, and as an agent, yes, this is important on that side of it, but this is the same for your buyers and sellers. Like, when you sit down, you can't, and Jason knows, I'm so guilty, you can't just well, you need this, and you need this, and you need this, and you need this. No, you need to expose. You need to rip off and expose a wound, and you need to like make it hurt. You know, not
Yeah,
directly, but and show. Well, okay, cool, but here's this ointment for that. That's what I got. You know.
yeah. Self-discovery too is, I've been super into, just going down that path of, my journey as a team lead, right? So, you know, not skipping steps. I had this conversation with the team, during boot camp last week, and I keep bringing it up because it's all fresh to my mind, but, you know, going from calls, having the will to get on the phone, to building your skills up, getting those reps to have the skill to make good 2-minute conversations. Once you have the conversation, showing enough value where they're going to meet with you, appointment set. Did you provide enough value that they met with you? Appointment met, two different trackers, right? If they met with you, then do your buyer consultation, provide all that value, explain the buying process, find out their top 5 must-haves, explain all our guarantees that we have that no other broker or agent has in our area. And then start showing them houses, top 10 ways to get your offer accepted, close, rinse and repeat. But what we do is we go from calls to showings and we have no value in between. And that's what makes you a commodity, right? Because you're just like every other agent. If you didn't provide that value and you show them a house and they didn't like it, they're just going to call out any other agent. But if you provided that value throughout the whole process, they're more likely to work with you. And I skipped a step. I forgot. After buyer consultation, we get our buyer agency signed. So you're not a jackass when it's 0 degrees out signing buyer agency stuff on the hood of a car. Before you're legally allowed to go on site.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot about, well, so okay, but coming back to, I mean, you look at coming into the last 11 months of the 12, because we already got one in, and I think there's a burst of emotion when you hit a new year and you can do all these things, and I think about all this stuff, and I think what you need, the biggest thing I can leave anybody with on this show here today, though, is like look back at what you've done last 30 days and look what you did in 2024. If you're a new agent, obviously just look at this, last 30 days if you've been there. What is working? What is not? Look at it without judgment and then just amplify the things that work and don't do the stuff that didn't. Like, you know, you
Pretty
could,
simple.
it is, but it's everything. I mean, like, like you could have spent like your amazing listing presentation. This is a good one. It's amazing, it's pretty, you made it in Canva, it's beautiful, and how much time do you spend on it? Like, not creating it, in the appointment. How many times did that cause how long did the sellers pay attention to your
Yeah.
art, your Canva shit, you
15 to
know?
30 minutes at most.
Shit, I think they're lucky to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, in my experience, we talked for about 95% of the appointment,
Hmm. Well,
you know?
I'm going into that today for week 2 of boot camp, starting now at 2 o'clock. All the stuff that we went over last week is all the stuff that matters. I'm going over buyer agency or buyer contracts and all that kind of stuff this week. None of that matters if you can't get the first week down. If you're not doing the activities that we talked about in week 1, you're never going to be writing offers. That's why I have that for week 2. Master that first, and then the contract stuff will be easier, right?
They used to be the first thing we did, and yeah, we don't even really. It's way later for us now. I mean, I have a video set so that if anybody gets one between me, the videos, and our admin, we'll cover it. But like, we don't do it in our first week at all, and because it's just, yeah, I mean, like you said, you're never going to write a contract if you can't do the other steps. And if somebody really wants to buy something, or work with you,
Yeah.
we'll work through that.
Yeah, it was awesome. 3 brand new agents from our training were already starting to take out buyers from last week's activity. And I'm like, it's not an accident. I'm teaching you exactly what you need to do. But they're like, oh my God, I got one. Now what? It's like, take a step back.
Same
It's
story
like
here.
when
We
you
had
go fishing and you have one on the hook and you're so excited you don't know to reel the sucker in.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's just, well, and I can show you the other side. So I had a mentee, wasn't even a team member. It was like 2 years ago, and I kind of like let them run the. No, sorry, it was 3 or 4 years ago. But anyway, they kind of let them run the sessions. Like, what do you want to learn? What do and contracts, contracts, contracts. Need to be an expert on contracts. Okay, so we do. And after the third or fourth meeting, I'm like, all right, how about we start learning about like how you get business? No, I think I don't know these contracts enough, and I shouldn't have ever. It was, I had to work on my
Yeah.
leadership skills, but I let them run it. But that agent took over 6 months to sell a home, and they only sold one, and they don't sell many homes. They don't. They don't. I mean, they think they still their license, but
Yeah.
my point is like, look at the difference. You had agents last week, brand new, taking action, and all of a sudden they have a need to learn the contract. You have somebody who
Yeah.
can spend 6 months trying to master the contract and didn't
Yeah.
even need to write one for 6 months.
I was just listening to an awesome podcast on George Lucas, and this will be dear and near to your heart because you're a big Star Wars nerd like me.
You
But
do know me.
I do. But he said, if he didn't have a deadline, he would still be rewriting the script of Star Wars One because it wasn't perfect. It wasn't exactly how he wanted to. The only reason he made Star Wars One was because he had to go into production. He had a deadline to make to have the movie done by. And he still
Mm.
says to this day he'd still be writing it because it just wasn't exactly what he wanted, and he wanted this, and he wanted that, and it was this with Darth and all this kind of stuff. But it was just interesting to hear that aspect.
Well, I think
Another
about
thing,
that a lot with Elon Musk will say, you can give yourself 30 days to clean your house for 3 hours. It'll take you how long you give yourself.
yeah, yeah, and it's another book that I'm reading is on Leonardo da Vinci. Things like a freaking encyclopedia. It's like 7,000 pages, I think. But one of the things that I didn't know about him was that he never finished a lot of his work because he was a perfectionist. He died with most of his masterpieces at his bedside, never sold them, commissioned them, or anything like that because he just wouldn't work on them. Didn't
Hmm.
want he wanted him to be perfect. Like there's one painting that he did 10 years later when he was able to find out the veins in the neck. He wanted them perfect. So we went back 10 years later and redid the veins on the guy's neck.
That's
And
wild.
that's St. Jerome in the Wild, if all you audience members want to check that painting out. But yeah, pretty wild.
Well, I think, I mean, we hear all this stuff, but I think it's good to talk it out because you got to expose. I think the basics should be talked about more often, because they're what matters. But I think when you look at moving into 2025, for me, it's like, what can I eliminate? Like, what can I addition by subtraction? What else can I'm like anything I can eliminate? I'm trying to eliminate right now. Just do the basics that work. Life's too complicated to add all extra level of complication to it. Um, it's got to stay simple. So stay simple. If you want to win in 2025, you want to take advantage of the opportunity. Um, Simplify it. You don't need to take 50 different ways to generate leads courses. You just need you just need one that works for you and master that, and then maybe add another layer as you start to, you start to put that thing on autopilot.
Yep. Yeah, for me, I would say set yourself a deadline. If you want to have so many transactions by a certain date, give yourself a deadline to make that happen, or increase your response rate to put the action in place to make that happen.
100%.
And I'd
So,
say if you're starting now, you're behind the freaking eight ball. You missed a quarter of 2025. If you get something under contract today and it has a loan, you're 45 days out. We're in mid March.
yep,
So you're behind the eight ball. Get your ass going.
that's it. Get out there, get after it. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.